Hello, everybody. Um, Hi, good evening, and welcome to yet another session of the Case of the Cindered Seal, our Speculate Blades in the Dark co-stream with this channel, twitch.tv/Arvan Eleron. Um, we may still be encountering some technical difficulties. I'm trying my very best to deal with that as much as possible. Um, but in the meantime, we are in fact here. Please let me know if you do note any um, issues whatsoever with the stream, and I will see if I can get on that as soon as possible. But before we begin, I'd like to definitely make space for our usual housekeeping as I um, put in our usual command in chat, exclamation point are things where you can find all of the things that are associated with this channel that help this channel continue to succeed. Um, which is the YouTube channel, youtube.com/ArvanElron, which you can find at exclamation point ArvTube, which will have all of the streams of um, previous episodes of The Case of the Cindered Seal and all of the other things that take place on this channel. You can also find Arv's Patreon, that's exclamation point Arvtreon, where you can support this channel and the content that is placed on this channel, which I have an update about. One of the things that Patreon was actually responsible for coming very soon, that you will see, that you will hear about in a little bit. And exclamation point Arv shop, where you can buy all manner of merch related to the content that is created on this channel. um, I definitely want to make sure to shout out exclamation point Grey Shade KS, because obviously some very good news has been announced as a result of a, 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 a few streams ago, related to the Grey Shade Kickstarter, which is the first book in the Grey Assassin trilogy, is being published by Athos Arts, and I'm really, really excited to see what you all think about it. And the Kickstarter for the rest of that series is coming up very soon. Um, Claire, no buzz, good. But I hope that I'm also not freezing, because that would suck, because it looks like it's freezing for me. But hopefully, that will at least be rectified very soon, and as well, there will come a point very, very soon, as in this month, where that will no longer be the case. Um, but that will be a thing that I will mention later on. Um, I also want to make sure to mention exclamation point BLM. This channel is still and always will be committed to affirming the value of Black lives in the U.S. and elsewhere in the world. That that command still provides you with a link to resources where you can support the work that various grassroots activist organizations are doing in the fight to affirm Black lives. I would also personally want to include a thing that matters to me personally, as a result of news that has taken place in the last week. The Mount Soufrière volcano in St. Vincent and the Grenadines has been incredibly active this week and has been displacing a great deal of locals in the red zone, um, as a result. And I think that it's very important, if you have the ability, to either support or share these resources in the work to ensure that these communities, those affected by um, the volcano eruption, can um, be safe and keep themselves warm and keep themselves fed and keep themselves together in the midst of what is a devastating natural experience in their lives right now. I've placed a link in the chat to a thread of resources that are available for you to donate money and items to, in order to aid that cause. It would be very important to me if you can definitely support that kind of work. Being living in the Caribbean, it's particularly important to me to see people stand up and provide for and affirm the value of the lives and dignity of Caribbean people when they experience these things. So if you can give any support to the people of Saint Vincent and the Grenadines, it would mean a lot to me personally. Um, so with that being said, I'm going to join some of my friends. Um, First by idly rejoining the thing so they can hear me and
Death
I can
Ron
hear
Show.
them. And I hope that I wasn't
Oh,
interrupting them while they were having some very meaningful conversation. While I switch us over to this screen that I hope is working because it looks like it's not working. OBS, what are you doing? Please do the thing. OBS seems to be having a moment, but it worked because we're here now. Um, so here are all of my friends who are about to play this really cool game with me. Um, and I would like it very much if they could introduce themselves by telling all of these lovely people who you are and what you do, starting with Mike.
Oh, hello. Hi, I'm Michael R. Underwood. I'm one of the co-hosts of Speculate, along with Brandon and Greg Wilson, who is our host here as Arvin Elleron. My latest book is Genre Knots, The Wasteland War. I was going to say Aria, but I actually put a book out between now and then, which continues my Genre Knots series, which is very fun, and you all should check it out. You can find me at patreon.com/Michael R. Underwood with lots of bonus features and cool things. And you can support this wonderful show and help us do more and cooler, amazing things on top of what we already do at patreon.com/speculate. My character for this game is Ring Dalmore, who is a cool haunted veteran who has found more friends and decided to protect. Ring's pronouns are they, them, and he, him for me. That's me.
Nice. Next, Valerie.
oh no, I was typing into chat. I'm Valerie Valdes. I am the author of Chilling Effect and Prime Deceptions and the forthcoming Fault Tolerance, which will hopefully be out next May, but which is complete. And now I'm revising it so that it won't suck. Found Family Face Space Opera pairs very well with Mike's Annihilation aria, not so much with Genre Knots, only because Genre Knots is a lot of other awesome genres. And so feel free to explore that universe because it is super duper fun. I am playing Skelly, the resident hound. Hunting is her game. And yeah, you can find me online at valerievaldes.com.
Nice. Next, Iori.
Iori Kusano, she, they, Clarion West class of 2017, fiction in Apex, reviews in Strange Horizons. I play our team's Lurk, of the Flame the Ash, whose major skill is just trying not to think about her family or her culture or really anything if she can help it.
And last but not least, Jeoi.
Hello, Jeoi Gawain Lin, pronouns he, they, game and fiction writer. I play Crossroads, who is a former Whisper, and now Hull, who is no longer made of meat, and its friends also know that it is no longer made of meat, and for some reason, they are all still friends with it, and it treasures them very, very much. Its pronouns are it's, because it is a Hull, and it is not too confused about that anymore.
Duly noted. So when last we left off, if mm, hold on, it seems like OBS is doing a thing, and I hope that it isn't. Okay, it isn't, or isn't anymore. But still, um, when last we left off, in our last session, a lot of things were happening. Um, our strange friends were caught in the heat of combat in the middle of a slowly increasing snowstorm, uh, which led to, among other things, Ring descending upon a hapless attacker by literally stabbing said attacker from leaping the roof of a building and stabbing said attacker with a pole arm. Um, Various zaps to the head from our resident zapper Crossroads. Um, and Ash having a vision of some sort. The end result was not only seeming to witness the form of somebody that is vaguely recognizable to Ash, but that they've never actually seen in this form before. While their body just decided to rush past two attackers at such high speed that they just killed themselves. Um, and then accidentally zapping another one to the point where his blood turned into things that blood cannot turn into as a result of contact with electricity, which was a brilliant experience all around, I'm sure. Um, but now you get to experience Porter's Day proper now that you are no longer in harm's way. So how do we get to that point then? Because I imagine that you are like literally because you are all literally on um like three wooden rickshaws being dragged from the point of combat to Dern's location.
Right. We are Duskfall drifting. Ash is not in a position where he or she is capable of decisions right now. But she will need medical attention pretty soon.
Oh yes, definitely.
Because she needed it 2 hours ago.
Apparently, we are intermittently back in freezing again, just to make sure that things are not going completely haywire. Okay,
Yes.
Iori is coming through, no problems.
I am monitoring the situation and attempting to
Okay.
mitigate it as much as I can.
Okay.
But OBS is freaking out in a way that is entirely new to me this time, which I hope will stop being the case, and it will stop being the case very soon. But as for tonight, I will be monitoring the situation as much as I can.
An audience member says that they have audio but frozen video, so I think we are okay to continue.
Mm-hmm. We will continue. We will continue until something breaks down, I imagine. So yes. So you are all still being transported. Um, Ash is not out, but is like thoroughly incapacitated. Um, like you are still aware of your surroundings. You just can't. You're just not in the state to respond to them. As for everyone else,
I think Ash hasn't even put the knife away yet. She's still just kind of fascinated by, like, this is the wrong blood splatter for what I was trying to accomplish. Just baffled. And in her pain, it is all she can fixate on, really.
mm-hmm.
Crossroads has put the coat that it stole from the first exploded person and burritoed Ash in, and has put that over Ash now. And when Ash continues to try and look at the knife, Crossroads just continues to put the coat over that so that Ash can't look at it, so Ash can focus on not bleeding.
Which I will remind you, by the way, Ash is still bleeding.
Not bleeding is unfortunately not a skill she possesses.
I didn't put any dots in that.
Mm-hmm. We'll work on that in the future.
Right, I think we should definitely be making for Melvir, my physician friend, because he has historically been happy to fix us up. Although getting through snowy streets at this point is probably not the best. But perhaps these are sleds.
Okay. So here is a useful question. Which I will let you all establish because I hadn't established it when you all left. Which is, we know that there are multiple rickshaws because we know that at least Crossroads needs its own. Um,
Oh no, I can't put the coat on Ash then. Okay.
I mean, Ash
You
can
said
be
there were 3 rickshaws last time.
right. Yes. Okay. Um, because essentially what I need to know is, who is with whom, because it is actually still very possible that Ash and Crossroads are on the thing, but I essentially need to know where where Ring is, where Skelly is, and where those two rickshaws are in relation to the entirety of rickshaws traveling. Because if you want to, because in fact,
Uh-oh.
Skelly, give me a roll of some kind. I want to know. I want to know where you think you're going.
Oh no.
Is this a fortune roll or uh
Um, nah. This is a roll. This is a skill. I imagine it would be. In fact, no. A fortune roll works. Um, give me a two die fortune roll.
that is a 1 and a 6?
Okay, that is good. Um, you already know like you haven't met any of these individual kids before, but you just put two and two together. A group of children have saved us from a firefight. Um, it stands to reason that these kids are porters. So A, you know that if they're taking you anywhere, they're taking you to Dern,
Mhm.
and you know that if anyone can tell them to change directions, it will have to be Ring, so you'll have to let
Mhm.
Ring know first. You also know that both of you are on either side of the three of these three rickshaws, so you literally have to shout in the snow in the other direction for Ring to hear you, and only when Ring hears you can we ever get to Melville first. Otherwise, you're headed to Dern. Full stop. These are things that you know.
I mean, the alternate solution would be to send someone to get Melvir. And so would I be able to communicate with the person pulling my rickshaw to send someone to him?
I mean, you can certainly try.
I will make that attempt. Are there any other children that they could I mean, because I don't know their like whistle language or what have you, but would there be a way for a child to catch up with us that I could send off as a courier? Or alternately, where is Crossroads secondary form?
Um, Crossroads. What is Crossroads secondary form?
So Crossroads' secondary form, Meta Hat On, is not a form that Crossroads knows about, but it is a mechanized Deathseeker crow that can fly and has smokescreen projectors.
Aha.
If we have not
Okay.
established it in game yet, though, we probably should not be able to make use of it. So
Ah, but do you have it? Is it a thing that
Um,
you? Is it a thing that you mechanically have?
I had it in my head that Crossroads has it in its head, but Crossroads does not know about that.
I ask this question because we have gotten this far based on a myriad of things that Crossroads did not know at the time, but
Mm-hmm.
acted on regardless and learned was true after the fact. And that can definitely happen here as well. So I need to confirm that you do in fact have this that the secondary form is a thing that you have at this moment.
Yes. In the way I have thought it is that Crossroads was originally built and had the secondary form built within it, so it's
Mm-hmm.
not something that it needs to acquire.
Okay.
But it does not know that it has that thing.
Okay. Noted.
Uh-oh.
Right. So, well, I mean, we also need to clarify what does Crossroads want in this moment. Your friend is bleeding out on you right now. You know that Ash needs medical assistance,
Mm-hmm.
but you've only what what do you want to do about that situation at this present moment?
Well, I know that Ash is alive, and when things are alive, they are warm. So I want to keep Ash warm right now. And I want to keep Ash cozy. So that's why I've put the coat on Ash, and if possible, would try to like heat the metal plates of my body with a tuning mildly to like try and keep Ash warm.
Because I like you both, I
Uh-oh.
am not going to. I'm not going to like immediately make that be a hostile situation. Um, because if your life wasn't in danger, you would have probably cooked that rickshaw by now. Instead, give me a two-die fortune roll.
Would that be me Crossroads or
Yes,
okay?
yes, you crossroads.
Fortune roll. 2 die fortune roll. Notes. Cooking. Rickshaw.
Oh God. Oh
That's a
God.
6 and a 6.
Aha. Okay.
So that's critting at not melting the rickshaw.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You have done very well at not microwaving your friend Ash.
Mm-hmm. Move over, Franklin Stove. Crossroads is here.
um. Okay. Okay. So right. Okay. So this is what happens. Um. You you take off all of your layers of clothing, and you are like what seems to you like just I want to keep this small thing bundled up as much as possible because um it is snowing and I do not want Ash to get cold. Just suddenly translates to you doing perhaps the neatest job that you possibly can of accidentally taking care of Ash's wounds, short of actually being a nurse. Um, Ash is still bleeding profusely because you haven't done that kind of job yet. But it just kind of accidentally occurs to you, you know, somebody would know how to do this job better. Skelly's friend knows how to do this job better. Maybe we should get Skelly's friend to do it. And the thought causes, like, your head from, like,
Uh,
the seam of your bird beak all the way across to the back of uh your the head base of your chassis splits open sideways and peels open,
uh,
and inside that portion of your chassis is now just a small, like, very polished black um bird, like vaguely Death Seeker Crow esque. Like every individual feather is like a piece of like um polished black chrome steel. Um and that, like, in that bird is still you. You haven't even realized that you are in a lighter, smaller body yet. You just go, we should check on Melvir, see if Melvir can help my friend Ash because my friend Ash is in trouble. And you just kind of fly off, and you didn't like you still haven't realized yet that you are in flight, no longer in a rickshaw. You're just looking for Melvir at this point. You just take off and go. Um, while while I'm going to assume only Skelly has noticed.
I'd like
Ash
to.
may have noticed just that Crossroads went. It's weird to say metal went limp, but the tension of Crossroads' limbs has suddenly disappeared, and Crossroads is dead weight now.
Yeah,
Yes.
so Crossroads is just like a nice little, I don't know, like a swaddle cradle around Ash. So Ash is like a safe little dumpling inside like a weird limbed steamer thing, ready to be not cooked but brought to a doctor. Yes, because to clarify for the audience, the secondary hull feature is I can choose an additional frame, and its starting feature, you may transfer your consciousness between your frames at will. So Crossroads can't occupy both bodies at the same time. It's either one or the other. So currently Crossroads is in the bird body flying from Elvier, and the original Crossroads metal body, not the original meat body, because God knows what happened to that, is just keeping Ash very safe.
Yes.
Is my head still open?
Yes. It's...
Somebody please close my head. That's very disturbing.
I mean, there's nothing in, like, it's just like hollow steel. Like, it's not like there's matter there. You don't need to be worried. Maybe about its exposure to the elements, but like, you've been in the snow for at least an hour already.
Crossroads, literally a bird brain.
Yeah, that's why I put the bird in the head, because I was like, I can make a great bird brain pun with this. Thank you, Valerie.
So while Crossroads is like hurtling through the snow in a small Death Seeker crow body, what? First of all, I want to know. I want to know two things. Ash, give me a 3-die fortune roll.
Oh, we're fancy now.
If you want notes, the notes are other people's problems.
Oh.
Other people's problems are my favorite kind of problems.
A 6.
We've got a 1, a 2, and a 6.
When Crossroads' body goes like limp against you, like the warmth of Crossroads' body and like the fact that it like a pile of steel just collided with you on this rickshaw, briefly brings you back to like a moment of perfect consciousness. And that moment of perfect consciousness, because of the 1 and the 2, very swiftly kind of disappear. Like you get to a point where you are so focused in this moment that focus kind of doubles back into brief delirium. And instead of what actually happens to Crossroads, it looks to you instead as if the imperishable wing took off a black cloak and then rose up into the air. And the sight of that causes you to pass out. Valerie, what did you see though? What did Skelly see?
Skelly literally just saw Crossroads' head open and a bird come out of it. Skelly's just like, huh. All right.
No feelings about that whatsoever, I presume?
This is way above her pay grade. As far as he's concerned, weird shit happens in Duskfall all the time. This is just another layer of weird. And frankly, the amount of weird that has happened around Crossroads in the last few days has been a lot. At this point, if Crossroads' entire body opened up and a smaller Crossroads came out, that would probably be very reasonable to Skelly.
Yeah. I mean, I don't blame you. At this point where, like, just a little bit off from Crossroads, like, opening, like, its center chassis and revealing a small Bastion tank. But we're not there yet. Ring?
Yep. So
Do you have any thoughts or feelings whatsoever at this moment?
I think Ring has completely not noticed, because I think Ring is either in the first or probably more likely the third of the rickshaws and is directing the porters, trying to kind of it's not hell on metal because the wheels are probably like wood or something, but is like leading the porters to kind of zigzag through the district and lose their tail. So I think it's them kind of braced against one side, like an arm around like a tall, almost top of a bed frame, 4-post bed frame kind of bit on the last rickshaw and like shouting, like, no, stay off Oilskin Avenue. The bluecoats do a patrol along there. Duck onto Scrimshaw. And as they turn, Ring smacks the kind of corner side of a building and brings down 100-something pounds of snow to cover their path. But as the snow falls and we turn, we see that Ring is basically getting an overlay of carts moving down trenches, and we're back, and they're back in the war. But right now the two worlds are kind of overlapping. And I think it will go poorly if Ring fails a roll, but currently they're holding it together and keeping people going where they need to go. I would love to make a command roll here to get the rickshaws out of trouble, if that's a thing that would be mechanically useful.
That indeed would be mechanically useful. But before you give it to me, I also want to know, do you like, give me a fortune roll first. Give me a 1-die fortune roll.
I will do that thing. What should I put on 1-die fortune roll?
Put the notes as surroundings. 4.
All right, that is a 4. Right down the middle.
Okay. You notice that Skelly is trying to get a porter's attention, but you cannot hear what Skelly is saying through the snow. If that's a thing that you want to learn before you decide to make a command roll.
I think it makes sense to make the command roll to cover some stuff that we've already gone over. And then depending on how that roll goes, that consequence that comes up or a complication may overlap with what's happening with Skelly. I think maybe that is the thing that makes sense.
Okay.
And so
your position is risky only because of the snow.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But your effect is great.
Okay. So, with the hope that soon we will get to relieve stress, I'm going to push myself because I really want this to work.
Oh my god. Okay. All right. Yes.
Also, I think that this is a reasonable situation in which Ring could be getting to to the end of stressing out. Since at the midpoint of last session, I was prepping myself to try to make the ultimate devil's bargain with Brandon on how do I sacrifice Ring to get this crew out. So that's kind of where Ring's brain is. So I'm pushing for an extra die. This is risky with great effect.
Like we keep telling you, you cannot let Ring die because then we won't have a brains of the team anymore.
I would just have to see if I could come up with the most chaotic successor character to just build on our chaos energy.
I'm not against it, so long as you know those are further consequences of your decisions.
Yeah, but hopefully we won't come to that because I quite like this character. So yeah, that's risky great. I'm doing a bonus die because I pushed, and let's hope for some good roll. All right, so that's 2, 5, 4.
2, 5, 4. Okay. So what exactly is the command that you're attempting to give in this moment?
So this is about keeping the 3 rickshaws together, making sure that they're coordinated, and using their knowledge of specifically this neighborhood to put enough switchbacks and distance between the rickshaws and anyone that might be following, even though we're making a fair amount of noise and the rickshaws themselves do leave tracks. So I'm using command to try to get this whole group of the porters and the drivers to kind of get away from and not be able to be tracked by the people who are following us.
Okay.
So I think mechanically this would be like I'm using command to direct the whole group in what otherwise would be a prowl, because it's about evasion and escape.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm using the command rules because I'm commanding a group to do a thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Right. Um, there is some like wavering between the three rickshaws. Like you know, because you've dealt with these kids before, who is the least likely to be like fully coordinated during this kind of exercise. So you can tell, like for instance, that the third rickshaw is like presently running out of stamina at the moment, and struggling to keep up, but still is perfectly attentive to you. Everybody is aware of your instructions and attempting to follow it to the letter, but you can see where there are some like differences in capability, but they're all still maintaining enough speed that it wouldn't be an issue at this moment for you all to escape anybody who is still tailing you. And as far as you can see, not only can you verify that you've lost any like immediate tail by any of the attackers that you noticed, um, but one of the other porters is similarly as attentive, and he seems to give you this like you get this vague sense from him that he is perfectly confident that you all are not in any immediate danger, and is still proceeding as if you are attempting to flee immediate danger.
So I think Ring gives the kind of the whistle symbol to slow it down and basically regroup, which I think probably takes the rest of the block because they were going really fast.
Oh yeah, they need to they need to reduce acceleration very inefficiently now. Um, give me a 3 die fortune roll.
Okay. Tonight we are in the hands of fortune. All right, so that's 153.
Okay. Right. So that's how that happens. You like you can tell now as you give that instruction that you're like a few blocks away from the porter's hideout, which is like part of why you give the okay. You are pretty confident that you are safe at this moment. And when you give the instruction, everybody is like trying as much as possible to efficiently reduce acceleration, except for the porter who is piloting your rickshaw, who decides that they want to show off. Try to bring this rickshaw to a complete stop in the snow, in the coolest way that they possibly can. Remember that the streets in Duskwall are cobblestone. All of this is a bad idea. They shouldn't have even decided to do this in the first place. Um, and the result of that is their rickshaw collides with uh, a gas lamp nearby so hard that the entire barrel just like splits in half. Like it damn near explodes under you. Just like shards of wood flying in the snow everywhere.
Do I see that coming enough to try to resist it?
Yes, you do. You can
Okay.
if you wish.
This is a fairly bad idea because I only have 2 stress left, but it's absolutely a thing Ring would do because that kind of explosion could hurt somebody.
Indeed.
So I think what Ring does is gets out, but like basically uses the halberd as like a stopgap and gets out and is kind of trying to pull the rickshaw to stop more steadily. Because then they're kind of like surfing along the back, and I want to pull the rickshaw away from crashing. So I think this is probably a prowess resist. unfortunately, because resolve would be much better for me.
Unfortunately, yes.
So I'm gonna roll 2 dice, my prowess. I need to get a 5 or better to not stress out.
You do. I have faith in you.
Good at role-playing games. Yes.
Okay, nice.
Good at role-playing games. That's a 5 and a 4.
Yeah, so you you suffer 1 stress. How much stress do you have at the moment, Ring?
I have 8. 1 more and I would get a trauma.
Yes, let's prevent that as much as possible, please. Again, you are literally the only like thinker of the operation. Like, it would be a shame if you it would be a shame if we lost you prematurely. So yes, you, how do I describe this without my go-to visual example being the Lil Nas X Montero video. Um, but you do essentially like bury your halberd into like a groove in the street and just kind of slide out of the um rickshaw. It's still like, it still explodes, but you are enough far away from it that none of the debris hits you. All of the others are still decelerating further up the street, so they don't even like really notice it. Um, and the kid just kind of like ducks wooden shrapnel, turns to you very like awkwardly and says, "Oops, sorry, boss."
Henner, you'd already impressed me. You didn't have to try to put a cherry on top.
Fair enough.
Go check on Tristan.
And they nod and just run up to the other two.
I think it's at that point that like things have slowed down, that Ring can turn and look and sees the like folded back part of Crossroads' head.
But wait, the chariots had to like, the rickshaws had to like skid to a halt. Could I say that the physics of such a dramatic halt across the block just caused the head to shut again?
Okay.
So it's not immediately.
You can certainly do that. You want us to determine whether that actually happened?
I'm not in my body anymore, so.
Oh yeah, but there is a way that we can determine if gravity wanted to give you that that brief respite. It's called a fortune roll.
Oh
Would
boy!
you like to
All
give
right,
me a
sure.
1 die fortune roll?
This seems great. I will do a fortune roll. Notes. No thoughts. Head empty.
Oh god.
1! I rolled a 1!
Yep. The halt does briefly allow like your head to snap closed, and then the rest of that momentum causes it to open again. That's what Ring sees. Ring sees your already definitely empty head snap shut and then snap open again.
Crossroads, you still with us?
No response.
Ash?
Ash is asleep.
They're both sleeping, Ring. They're not dead. They're just sleeping.
And I think Ring Violet, like, more wide-eyed looks at Skelly. Skelly, you there?
Yeah, no, I'm fine.
Wow, that was a lot.
Yeah.
Do you think we could bribe Melvier to come out in this weather?
He's done it before.
All right, we've got a place pretty close here. Let's see if we can get everybody squared away.
I'll take the big one, you take the little one.
Cass, Rick, why don't you help Skelly with the big one?
you see two porters turn to you, like very confidently, give you a nod of confidence, and then turn to the rickshaw and see visibly a large hull, like just like lying limp inside this rickshaw, and then turn to you again with their eyes very wide, and then just nod again. You can tell that they're like, really, you want us to lift that? But they dare not tell you anything negative at all, and they just go over and try to lift it all by themselves.
Take,
And
take the cart as far as you can.
Skelly gets the front, like the top half, and kind of directs one of each of them to get a leg.
Cool. While this is happening, let's cut to Bird Crossroads, who I will say has just arrived at Melvir's apartment because um, like the fact that you have traveled in the first place is not a thing that you know. You are moving. You were moving mostly at the speed of um like past memory at that point. So you just got there. Um I'm tempted to ask a where question, but I'm not going to ask that now. But I will say that you get to Melvry's place very easily. The window is open. The a window is open, the door is closed.
Have I realized that I'm in a bird body yet, or do I still think I'm big me?
Um
Because
you are instinctually moving as if you are bird you, but you haven't realized that you're bird you yet.
okay,
You just think that you're moving very quickly.
okay, so if in that case I haven't realized that I am in fact a different size than before, I
Mm-hmm.
would try to land in front of the door to knock and go in, and then realize that the door seems to have gotten a lot bigger, and that is very weird.
It is. Um, Give me a one die fortune roll.
Oh boy. One die fortune roll. All thoughts head full.
Oh god.
That's a 2! Haven't gotten the terrible rolls out of my system yet.
I mean it's not bad. I mean if you were still giant crossroads, this would have been terrible. Instead, you like the moment that you're like that you decide you want to stop by the door and knock on the door, and the moment that you discover that the door is actually growing much larger than you remember it being, just kind of collide in your mind. And the way that you resolve this instinctually as you're still moving is you decide you're going to just keep going and headbutt the door.
Awesome.
Um,
Awesome.
Give me a rec roll. Do you
Guess
have rec?
what? Guess what prowess skill I have absolutely no dots in.
Nice, brilliant. Yes, give me a rec roll, please.
Oh god. Okay, what is my position?
Um, your position is risky. Your effect
Mhm.
is limited.
This is just, I guess, a quirk of. I don't know what's happening, so I'm not gonna say I push myself. That's a 5 and a 4 because I have 0 dice. I take the lowest result, so that means it's a 4.
Okay. Um, at least you don't get your beak stuck in the door. What you did do, however, um, is you just like you collide with the door with a pretty solid thud, Not enough to like do you or the door any damage, obviously, but like it does like ring in your head a little bit. Um, and then you hear shuffling on the other side of the door.
Hmm.
It is at this moment, as you are like reckoning with the fact that you just collided with the door, that it finally dawns on you. Wait, I am small. Something has happened to me to make me smaller than I usually am.
Crossroads thinks these exact words, Birdily.
Birdie. Um. Okay. While you are thinking these things, Birdily, of course. Like you hear, the voice of an old man that you recognize, like shift into the room, like on the other side of the door, and you hear him say, "What's got into you, Truffle? It's snow. Why are you so like? Why are you so excited?" And the door in front of you opens, and it looks as if Melvir, in like 3 layers of clothing, has Truffle on a leash. Um, and Truffle seems like very excited by something, and then immediately you notice, like, just as it happens, Truffle's eyes have fixed immediately on your frame. This is when you notice that even though you are small, you are still above the ground somewhat. Things that you haven't like put together in like the parts that form the thought that you are a bird and maybe considered by cats to be delicious. Um, but you do immediately notice that as Truffle like sees you, Truffle is ready to pounce on you in midair. How do you respond?
I respond by realizing that Melvir is a lot bigger than I remember. In fact, I distinctly remember being larger than Melvir, and now Melvir is bigger than me. And this frightens me immensely. So I attune.
Brilliant.
All right, so what is my position?
Your position is risky. Your effect is extreme.
Okay, to clarify, I am the cause of the attunement is Melvir, not Truffle.
Yes.
Truffle is
The
inconsequential
fact
right
that you
now.
the fact that you clarified that in the first place doesn't actually make it much better for anyone involved, but still.
Oh boy.
Um
Okay,
do
no
you
bonus die.
does this secondary hull have any special traits?
The special trait for this secondary hull is smoke projectors, which allow me to spew out a smoke screen to provide cover.
Duly noted. Yes. So yes, your position is risky and your effect is great.
Great and not extreme.
Did I say extreme? Yes, extreme.
Okay, so I'll do that again. Extreme. No bonus die. That's a 4, a 6, and a 6, and that's a crit.
Okay.
Crossroads is scared by large things, okay?
Duly noted. So, here's what happens. You see, like this is exactly how it happens. You see Melvir first, and that's when you have the thought, "Oh God, oh God."
Sorry.
So you see Melvir first, and that's when you have the thought, "Oh, not only am I small, Melvir has gotten much bigger. I don't know how I feel about that. And then you see Truffle leaping in midair towards you. When it happens, like you registered that Truffle was in front of you when the door opened, but when the pounce happens, your instinctual like urge to attune takes place so swiftly that it didn't even fully register to you at that point that Truffle was what was leaping towards you at that time. It just kind of happens. Um, underneath like the pores of your feather thingies, in this small bird frame, are dozens of tiny nozzles that are connected to your smoke projectors, and they just kind of go off in all directions. And then you make several sounds that are not unlike the sounds of a plasma rifle from the Fallout games, for instance. And beams of light are going off in all directions. And because they're colliding with snow and the like briefly hardening water vapor thereof and smoke, it very briefly looks like like a small, very dense ball of blue white energy is like bursting around you. What this looks like for Melvir is like eh, 2 to 3 times in 10 seconds, a beam of energy nearly like like bored through clean through his brain. The minute that you started like puffing out smoke, he just kind of ducked to the side very suddenly and reached for a bolt action rifle that Skelly left there for him and immediately went into combat mode. He has become Alfred Pennyworth during the war. He is ready to like literally shoot you out of the sky. Truffle, however, in midair, has this brief moment, like Truffle's life flashes before her eyes. The montage literally cuts with Truffle's voice to Truffle saying, "It was at this moment that I knew that I screwed up." And Truffle tries to like lean back in midair to miss like the first two blasts. One kind of like vaguely scars it above the forehead. Both of them are perfectly fine, but the power of those blasts are strong enough to take out the entire wall on the other side of the room. You are sending like powerful electroplasmic blasts all the way down the street in multiple directions that you cannot even see anymore. And then you just kind of like stop spinning and stop like shooting everywhere, and the smoke kind of dissipates, and you look in front of you and you see a cowering Truffle, and you see Melvir with a bolt action rifle trained on you, and he is peeping through the sights, and he says, "What the hell was that?"
Crossroads after that says, "You're big now."
I haven't changed at all. What happened to Wait. Whose voice is that?
It's my voice.
And who are you? Is that
I'm Crossroads.
Skelly's friend? he puts the rifle down, like steps up to you and is like looking at you very quizzically. What on earth happened to you?
I was in a rickshaw, and then I left the rickshaw, and then I came to get you because Ash got shot, and Ash needs a doctor, and you're a doctor.
Wait, what happened to Ash?
Ash got shot.
And how's Skelly? Like,
Skelly shot some people. Skelly didn't shoot Ash.
uh, duly noted. Okay, just take me, take me to your friends, please, and don't do that again. God damn it. It's like,
Crossroads looks around, and like the damage looks a lot bigger than it's used to because it is small now. And it says,
which is saying a
I'm...
lot because you've done a lot of damage.
Yes.
You just critted a house.
I critted a house.
We're not high tier enough for the house to have to be a 6 o'clock.
I was gonna say, do we add that to our kill count? Is that now?
I mean, you might as well. It takes all of my restraint to decide whether or not Melvir has some place to sleep anymore. That's how much damage you just did. Oh wow. Okay, so this is the part where I say that you just find your way back to the group. Which I'm perfectly fine by, like, narratively justifying by having your larger hull, like, give off a beacon that you're following. There's, like, a holdover of its sensorium, essentially. And you make your way back to, the Porter's hideout with Melvir, following.
Do we bring Truffle with us?
Melvir brings Truffle with him, yes.
Okay, then Crossroads is going to be on Melvir's shoulder.
Okay. Truffle is looking at you very awkwardly the entire time. Truffle is
I
like...
look awkwardly at Truffle also.
Oh my god. Every time you try to turn in Truffle's direction, Truffle actually cowers behind Melvir and switches sides.
Crossroads feels really bad.
I mean, you did crit a house, I'm sorry.
Crossroads doesn't know that. Crossroads just thinks it had a reaction.
Oh god. And you get back to the hideout, and you see Ring, you see Skelly, you see Ash, who is presently, like, placed on a cot nearby, still wrapped in all of the layers that you wrapped her in. You see your chassis is like somebody put your chassis on a coat rack because it didn't know what to do with it. It's like it's just kind of hanging there. Like you can hear, like everybody can hear, like, the wood of the coat rack straining against the weight of your limp hollow body. And like, what? Give me a 2-die fortune roll when you see your chassis.
Oh boy. A 2-die fortune roll. So that's 2 dice. I saw my body. Submit. That is a 3 and a 6 for I saw my body.
Okay. This is the most recent reaction that you've ever had to outer body experience that you've ever experienced in the history of becoming a hull. You see your body on the coat rack and go, hey, that's me. And you just kind of go back into your head. It's not a problem for you at all.
When I go back into my head, does that mean I physically fly from Melvir's shoulder into my head and perch, and my head just swings back over my head.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You found the button that is return to body, like in the Assassin's Creed game. You were the Falcon.
No, it's more like a Roomba going back to the dock.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
both.
so basically, Melvier shows up, he knocks, and I guess has a secret knock so that everybody knows it's Melvier and not to get him. Shows up, everyone sees the Deathseeker crow made of metal on his shoulder, and then the crow, I guess after he comes in and is talking about what to do with Ash's body, flies back to the big body, and I guess that is what happens.
Yeah. There is in fact a brief moment among the porters who are like, is that a Deathseeker crow? Did we just is this one dead? And they point at Ash, and then they look back at the Deathseeker crow and it's already in your head, and they're like, oh, it's the whole thing again. Okay, cool. False alarm. No ghost shenanigans. We're fine. Not they're not gonna come and get us. It's okay. And like a handful of kids just go back to like doing whatever they're doing in like some other rooms off to like the right and to the back of the space.
I'm just gonna roll a fortune roll for the coat rack, because I want to see if I knock it over when I come back into my big body. Yes, I do. When I re-enter big body in standing back up from the coat rack just tips the whole over the coat
Oh
rack.
that's not what happens. That's not what happens.
Yoi rolled a 1.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
rolled
a
a one. You get back into your body, and like your initial joint movements as you're trying to get reacclimated to your larger hull body, your initial contractions cause you to crush the entire coat rack against your chest. It's just like splinters now.
The last thing I remembered holding in my arms in this body was Ash, so I immediately checked to make sure that's not Ash. And it's not Ash.
It's not.
So Crossroads is okay with that.
Okay, good. So I take it then that you're moving to what you're going to check on Ash then.
Yes.
Melville follows you immediately. Like turns to Skelly and goes, "Who did this?"
I don't know, but I think I killed him.
Okay, and whose decision was it to wrap the body up like a mummy?
That was me, yells Crossroads really loudly.
Melville trembles very briefly.
Inside voice, Crossroads, inside voice.
And then just
That was me.
starts taking off layers. It's like, you said that your friend got shot. I don't know why you decided to treat them for hypothermia. Starts taking off
Because
layers.
they're made of meat, says Crossroads rather crossly at this supposed doctor, and then grumpily picks out the coat that it had wrapped around Ash, which I will remind the audience, Crossroad had ripped off the first person that had died in the attempted kidnapping, we are guessing, of Ash. And then grumpily goes over to Ring, because Ring is a friend and will appreciate this, and says, Ring, I took a coat from one of them. You should look at it.
Oh, that's excellent. Thank you. I'm just going to check the pockets. Let me know if I need to stop something, or you can just put the coat on here. And then Ring will toss the coat and look for like hidden pockets and you know, standard. It's the intersection of rogue stuff and D&D looting.
Yes. Which we'll deal with very briefly. You should give me a roll for that. I imagine that would be a study?
Yeah, study or survey. I have both at 1 die, so...
I think study is what makes sense here, trying to gain information from an inanimate source as opposed to, like, observe a location or something like that.
Sure. Should I do that as a 1 die fortune roll for my 1 point in study?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let us see.
Oh, my computer tried to open the debug mode on my Roll20 page,
Okay.
and it seems to have made my die roll poor because it was a 1.
That's very strange. I'm literally going to give you the opportunity to do that again because that's very odd.
All right, I'm just gonna roll 1d6 in the chat. So that's a 3.
Okay. Um, a lot of like this person's pockets were like laden with idle crap. Like two of these pockets are just full of what seem to be receipts and odd strips of paper. Many of which are like damaged by the snow, such that some of their text have rubbed off, or like some of them are literally like falling apart. Um, but you find one coded message. It's written in a script that you have never like noticed before, but you can tell that it's a code and not um, like something that would seem like another language. And you notice a card. Um, the card is mostly rubbed out, but there is information on that card that I will give you more. I will give you more of if you give me a. This is not a study roll per se. Um. Right. The information that is on this card reminds you of a thing that you know. I want you to give me a roll to see how well you recall the thing.
Okay. That's probably still either study or survey, which Ring has 1 in.
I think that is study as well.
So that's another 1d fortune roll.
We will actually make this an action roll.
Okay.
Your position is risky, and your effect is standard.
Could I gesture Skelly over and go over the notes, and then ask Valerie if Skelly has a stress available to assist?
Does Skelly have a stress available to assist?
Yes, Skelly, as a sniper, just chilling on rooftops for this last mission, is also surprisingly stress-free. This is very much just like what Skelly likes to do. So, in fact, she should have lower stress because she was really enjoying herself.
Okay. So Skelly can definitely assist.
Okay.
And I was also about to say that I will give you an one additional die because the among the information that is still available on the card is location information.
Okay, so that's risky standard with 1 bonus die for assist and 1 for situation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that will be 3 dice total. Risky standard, 2 bonus dice. 2, 3, 4. Not great.
Not great.
But that's like average information, I guess, in a gather information situation.
There is not enough information on the card for you to determine a place, just like a street in a district, the district being hold on, what district is that again? Excuse me, I'm dying. Where is aha? So it is an address in Brightstone. You can't tell what building it is anymore, just the street. But it reminds you of the conversation that you had with that cop that you accosted the other day.
Right.
And that's when it strikes you very suddenly. This is Aldo Booker's card.
Okay. And so I think Ring kind of flips the card around to Skelly and says, I think this is one of Booker's cards.
Skelly takes it and examines it.
Which stand to reason if he was the one that sent those people. I got some information from my brother, who may well have himself is the architect up the way that I talked about. I've got several locations between that and what we got out of the baby pig. I think we've got some good leads to take care of once we're all back on our feet, I guess.
Yeah, Skelly glances over at Ash and is like, well, I'm going to take care of some leads, all right.
You can
And
probably
one more
wait on
thing.
the murder at least until tomorrow.
One more thing before I return to the previous action is that also you find like in like one of the thicker pockets of the jacket you find a small box. It's like roughly the length and width of your whole hand, but like big enough to like hold like a small notebook or something like that. But the box has two locks on it.
Bet somebody around here can figure this out. Sets it on the table.
Yeah, that's everything of use that you find in the jacket. So back to Melvir, who, like, after removing all of those layers, like, takes a good look at Ash's wound, which is actually pretty bad. This is the point where we probably actually do some healing things. So I'm going to check the rules again to verify how physicking takes place in this game.
For setting purposes, I will say that Crossroads has gone back to loom over him in big body.
Oh god.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell very obviously that Melvir is not okay with the fact that you are hovering. He doesn't say anything, but you can tell his heart rate has elevated. You can notice very obviously that he doesn't like being observed like this.
Crossroads notes this via the sensorium, and remembering how Ring has stood casually in conversations with other people, puts its hands behind its back, and then very casually takes a step to the side away from Melvir. Casually like, meat-like, unthreateningly like. It's good.
Okay, so we're going to do a recover roll.
Ooh. I have never had occasion to do one of these before.
Indeed. So this is what the rules say about recovery. When you recover, you seek treatment and heal your harm. You might visit a physical who can stitch your wounds and soothe your mind with anatomical science, or a witch who specializes in healing charms and restorative alchemy. If you don't have a contact or fellow PC who can provide treatment, you can use the Acquire Asset activity to gain access to a healer. Recovery is like a long-term project. Your healer rolls tinker for a PC with the physical special ability or the quality level of an NPC, and then you mark a number of segments on your healing clock. 1 to 3 is 1 segment, 4 or 5 is 2 segments, 6 is 3 segments, and the critical is 5 segments. So, Um, Melvir's quality is not great.
Average?
Eh,
This
okay,
is the downside of us staying at tier 0.
indeed. Um, so I'm going to have to roll the one die. I'm trying to remember how much blood you lost to determine how many segments this clock must be. I'm tempted to
I
say it should
mean,
be 4.
I think we've established like a lot.
Yeah, a lot. It's a lot. It should be. It should be 6 segments.
So
Yeah, Ash has lost honey bunches of blood.
the healing clock is 4 in rules as written, but you need to fill a clock to reduce harm by 1 level. So it would be 8 segments to take a level 2 harm from
Right. Yes.
fully a harm to no harm at all.
Right. Yes. Okay. Clarified. Thank you for reminding me of that. Okay. So. um. As for the actual roll, it should. This should either be Ash makes the roll because Ash is the one presently injured, or Skelly makes the roll because Melvir is technically your friend.
I would say Ash, honestly, but
Yeah, I think it
yeah.
should be Ash. So, give me
It's
a
my crossbow bolt.
give me a 1 die fortune roll.
Okay, should I use the little healing button for that?
Oh yes, I forgot that there is that thing. Hold on, let me see that.
It just pops up the dice screen.
I forgot that there was an option for the thing. Right, yes. And number of dice 1.
Okay. That's a 3.
Okay.
So for healing or for downtime actions, you can spend a coin to increase the result level by 1, and you can spend coin to take extra downtime actions. So from my perspective, it would make sense to use as much coin as we could to try to accelerate Ash's healing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've got 1 coin. I'll throw it towards that.
Okay.
So mechanically, making another recovery roll is more likely to be more effective than improving the result level from 1 to 2.
Okay. Then I am going to throw in another die. Oh, come on!
That's presently
Double
2
threes.
segments.
I am ticking those off on my little clock now. 1, 2.
Okay.
I see 2 coin on the crew sheet, and that's before anything we got from the escape job.
Yes.
Did you find any change in that guy's pockets ring?
No, Skelly has some cash also that can be contributed to this.
Yes, because we each got 1 coin from the other, from Hunger, I think. So
yes, but I would argue that there is a poetic justice in just shaking this guy's coat until the lunch money falls out.
Absolutely.
There is also a very convenient narrative argument to be made right now for the fact that it is Porter's Day. You are in Dern's hideout, and there is surely enough money and medical supplies put away in this building that it would actually be free for you all to continue from this point. You would still be essentially paying for those downtime actions, but they would be free.
Yeah, because Like, I need to do a stress relief, but I would happily give up one of Ring's downtime actions to be recovery for Ash, if that was a thing we could do.
Yeah, definitely. Um, so would anyone else like to lend some of those downtime actions? Um, okay. So let's do another recovery roll then, and make that 3 dice now, and see what the result is. See what that additional result is.
Okay. 3. 4, 6, and 3.
Okay. Um. So that's
How many clock segments?
3 segments on top of
The
2
2
would
we've
be,
already taken.
Yep. So you'd fill 1 clock, but Har would go from level 2 to level 1, and then you would fill the clock 1 tick out of 4 for the clock of level 1 to level 0.
Yeah.
So usually when harm is reduced, it gets a new name when it moves from one level to the lower level.
Yes, I've renamed it Crossbow Side Effects.
Cool. So at level 1 harm, you just have decreased effect on your rolls. But that's fine for the moment. Again, we are presently at rest, so you need not worry about those things right now. Melvir kind of like looks up at everybody after tending to Ash's wounds and goes, this is a pretty bad shot to the stomach. What were you all up to?
We were escaping.
Escaping what?
2 bad men. They won't hurt Ash anymore.
I'm presuming that's because they are more superiorly injured. And then he turns to Skelly and goes, you are not getting into trouble, aren't you?
No.
That was a lot of hesitation.
Trouble found us. We didn't go looking for it.
Inside Skelly's head, I got out of trouble.
Oh my god. Your friend here needs a lot of rest and a lot of fluids and a lot of proteins if she's gonna have blood anymore. So maybe if y'all wanna relax a little bit and like not get shot again, please, please, please. No one's gonna reply to that. I presume
do you
that the
need me to
trouble
get
just...
some blood somewhere?
No.
Ash is still extremely unconscious.
Skelly.
If it makes you feel better, I tried to get shot instead. But Ash was better at being shot than me.
You nearly robbed me of a place to sleep. Nothing you can tell me makes me feel better.
I'm sorry. I won't tell you anything ever again.
Oh my god. That's not what I meant. Oh, Skelly.
Mm-hmm.
Come, please. And like, ushers you to a corner of the hideout. It goes, we are presently in an abandoned warehouse full of children. Who, if your bird-headed friend hadn't called me, would have tended to a serious shot to the gut without my supervision. This is your friend, yeah? That Ash, I think, is the name. You care about your friend?
Yeah.
Don't let your friend get shot again.
I mean, I wasn't there when it happened, so.
What are you up to? For months you were not in any problems whatsoever, and then in the middle of the afternoon I am treated to a light show in front of my apartment by a robot bird. telling me that your friend has been shot? It could have been you. This is the part where you tell me, of course, it couldn't have been me. I'm better than that. Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm much better at not getting shot.
Jesus Christ, why did I even open my. Are you. Do you need. You know, I can call people, right? Like, I've treated dozens of other mercenaries. If you need backup, if you need a place to lay low, if you need to send your friend elsewhere to get out of trouble, we can do all of those things. It'll just be well, we can't do it now because now it's winter. Porter's Day just started. Travel becomes so much more difficult, but I could have yesterday if you spoke to me, if you let me know what's happening. Please don't do me a favor and do not die. That's all. Please, please.
I mean, it's the easy favor because I don't want to die either. So, why did you bring truffle?
Because your friend nearly put a hole in Truffle's head.
Skelly looks at Crossroads.
Crossroads has super unsubtly, like, its head is still pointed at Ash, so that's what it's watching. But its chest is angled at Malfear and Skelly and is just paying attention to everything that they're saying. And at that, Crossroads swivels its head around and says, Malvir is being very mean to me.
I'm being mean to the thing that could kill me. I'm being mean to the thing that could kill me.
Crossroads, you just saved Ash. Let's be a little nice here.
Thank you for saving my friend.
Melvir just slowly sighs, turns to Skelly and goes...
Skelly just kind of slaps his arm like, see, it's all good now.
He just turns to Skelly, puts Truffle's leash in Skelly's hand and says, your cat needs food, a walk, and a bandage for the wound on its forehead. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone. I'm going back out into the cold. He puts his coat back on, opens the exit to the hideout.
Happy Porter's Day.
And so like, you know those TikTok videos of blizzards that are like 6 inches, 7 inches of snow against someone's front door. So like he opens the door, 8 inches of snow just come like sliding in. Truffle puts a paw in the snow, takes it very swiftly back out. Tries to like leap over the snow, which is a bad idea because there's yet still more snow ahead of where it plans to jump. Falls headfirst into a pile of snow and takes Melvir tumbling with it. And then Melvir raises his head, spits out like a mouthful of snow and says, on the second thought, I'll wait until it gets brighter and probably melt some of the snow. He just kind of gently tugs Truffle back inside and closes the door again.
I think when he does that, he's met by Ring, who has taken a bottle of Dunmore whiskey and like tied one ribbon on, like one little ribbon on it, and a hastily written note from Ring of thanks, and says, you're welcome to stay here as long as you need to. We'll all look out for each other.
And just as you say that, you see Dern come down a staircase, like just off from the door, and just kind of bellows out, of course we look out for each other over here. It's Porter's Day. We wouldn't let anyone freeze in the cold this evening. and he kind of like he makes this kind of wave uh down the staircase, and a group of porters cheer, and are like some of them are um like toasting with like tin cups of juice or wine. Some of them who are like putting up decorations are like lifting their chairs or like lifting banners in the air. And then Dern turns to Ring and goes, "Who's your friend?"
These are some friends who've run into some trouble. We're trying to get ahead of it. This is, and then like Ring will do introductions for the kind of the rest of the crew, and then Malvir as well, to make sure that everyone is properly introduced and can be kind of integrated into the Porter's Day celebrations.
Okay, welcome. Any friend of Ring Dalmore is a friend of ours, definitely. Um, as you can see, there are some. If you need any help, just ask any of the kids around here. You will see some of your neighbors around. Please feel free to give them a hand if there's anything that they need. And we should be partying in any minute now. Um, I just need to check on a handful of things, and then it's cake and wine for everyone. So, make yourself at home, and I'll check on the kids. And he steps aside and speaks to a couple of the porters elsewhere.
Crossroads, in an attempt to patch up this terrible social problem that has seemed to arisen between it and Melvir, goes over to Melvir as ringly as possible and says, "In the spirit of Porter's Day, you can have my cake and my wine. I'm sorry I hurt your house."
Mm, it's fine. It's not fine. But just help me clean it up?
I can do that. I am big.
You are quite large. Thank you. Okay, cool. And you can tell very nervously, Melvir literally just walks away from you trembling. Ash,
Am I awake?
you have very slowly come to. You are in less pain, but not zero pain.
I have a very important Porter's Day question.
Yes, you do.
Is Melvir going to say that I can't have wine because I've lost too much blood? Or is the whole blood thinner thing going to be, well, we need to spread what blood she has out?
You can definitely ask him. If you do ask him, I'm going to say that his answer is he very like awkwardly sighs and goes, "Under normal circumstances, I would tell you to drink anything but wine. But it's Porter's Day. I feel like that would be kind of cruel. Just don't be dumb, okay?"
Ash will drink in moderation.
Cool.
But after the day she's had, she really, really did earn that wine.
You know what? Melvir agrees, you know. Melvir, like, very consciously agrees. Um,
Yeah,
he's
and he
like,
didn't even see all the stabbing.
I get that you want to relax after whatever kind of day you've had. You know what? Melvir pauses, and then he steps away, gets two like moderately large tin cups, um, and comes back and puts one in front of you, and it's just it's wine almost all the way up to the brim. And you can see in his cup he just has like ginger ale or something, and he says, "If you don't mind me asking, what the hell happened today?"
And Ash frowns and she goes, "We were just going to get some Taikarosi potatoes."
Taikarosi potatoes don't have arrowheads. You want to get to that point in this story anytime?
They followed us into the restaurant.
Who's
They had
they?
crossbows.
Who's they? Were they after? Were they after you? Were they after Skelly?
Ash shrugs and she goes, "I mean, I thought they wanted crossroads, but they're dead now, so it's sort of a moot point, right?"
I, uh, uh, mm. You know what? Yeah, that is a moot point. It's crossroads. It's just, it's not very often I give a damn what happens to somebody in the business of living in Duskfall. I've cleaned up enough messes before. But when you share a space with somebody who offers so little and yet is always so willing to be helpful otherwise, it becomes very confusing to not know whether their life is in danger. You know what I mean?
I think that if you're worried about Skelly, that's something you need to take up with her. She'd probably be very upset at you if she found out you were fussing to me like I was somehow responsible for her.
That's not that I it, that's not my intention. No. It's just Skelly doesn't tell me things. I'm not trying to be like a parent or anything like that. It's just Skelly has done a lot for my block and for that district even. Skelly is a good person. Good people need to know that there are people who will give for them as much as they've given. I feel like she doesn't know that. I don't know. Anyway, wine. Don't be dumb. Don't be dumb. Crossroads needs to sleep or something. Crossroads is very anxious. I don't like it. It makes me very anxious. Um, when the snow subsides, someone's cleaning my home. I'm going to drink elsewhere. Rest. Don't be dumb. Don't be dumb. Bye. He just kind of steps away.
Ash watches after him for a moment, and then she looks down into her cup, and there's like, it's been spiced. There's some orange peels and slices floating in it.
Mm-hmm.
So she's just like, "Oh, I won't get scurvy." And she sips her wine.
Nice.
It's medicinal.
This is where we turn to Skelly. Skelly, have you ever participated in Porter's Day celebrations before this point?
Skelly's memories of Porter's Day are not good ones, and for the most part, since she left the orphanage, no, she has not participated in any Porter's Day celebrations.
Might I ask why they were bad before?
So, I mean, if we want to have a scene with someone, imagine Skelly at this point, now that everyone is getting into the festivities, has retreated to the farthest corner of the room with Truffle and is, for a large person, attempting to be very small.
Okay. Um, Give me a 1 die fortune roll.
Is a 4.
Okay. Um. Okay. So, two porters walk up to you. Like, fairly young. They both seem like 10, 11 years old. Um. One of them is like tearing into a chicken drumstick right in front of you. And the other like just has their hands in their pockets, just kind of like idly. And the one who is presently eating says with their mouth full, "You okay?"
Yeah, I'm good.
They pause for a moment to chew and swallow, uh, and say, "You sure? You're not eating anything. You're not. Your friends are all the way on the other side of the. Is there some like if you need help with anything, we can get it for you." Takes a bite out of their meat. No problem at all.
Could you get something for Truffle?
Yeah, sure. Um, um, that one kid steps away very eagerly, like runs over to the like large assortment of food on the other side. This is remember when I said that the funeral at the beginning of the session was like the largest, most exorbitant amount of food that you have ever seen? This beats that by several orders of magnitude. Um, and like you can see this kid like literally take some what remains of what used to be a whole chicken, like 3/4 of a chicken at this point. Um, like grabs it by its inner bones and just runs back towards you. Like with like a small uh like very thin paper plate as well. Drops it in front of Truffle. Says, "There you go, all the meat that you can stand." And Truffle just like tears into it immediately. Like enough large bites that Truffle will be done with this in 2 or 3 gulps. Um, and the other one says, "You sure you're okay? You seem kind of out of it."
Yeah, I'm good. Have fun. Do your thing.
You know, uh, not my business. I just learned your name today, but Portis, there's about all of us. If one of us isn't having fun, then all of us aren't. You can literally tell us whatever it is. You need food, you need medicine, you wanna, I don't know, play a board game with one of the other kids, even. We can make that happen. Just.
Thanks. Thanks, though. God, play a board game. Skelly's stomach just turned.
Oh no. So the two kids just turn to each other and shrug and walk away. Give me a 1 die fortune roll.
It's a 4 again.
4. Okay. Very, very briefly. Like, this does not linger very long, but it does happen. I would like you, Skelly, to describe to me how the sight of these two children walking away from you reminds you of an experience that you had while at the orphanage.
So Skelly thinks back to her last Porter's Day at the orphanage, and the previous ones were not good, but this one was one of the worst. a group of the kids basically jumped her and dumped her plate of food, kind of shoved it into her hair and made a giant mess of it. And she just let them because she knew why they were doing it, and she didn't really have anything to say about it. And she basically vowed at that point that she was going to get out of the orphanage, and that was that. And so watching them walk away just reminds her of that group of kids walking away. And they were younger kids than her. They were, you know, ranging from 10 to 17. She was about 18 at the time, and just, you know, just about 18 as in, you know, the time then she would have been able to get kicked out. But they had already made overtures about her staying longer, even though she should have technically aged out because of what she did for them. And so she knew at that moment she wasn't going to stay, and she didn't care what they offered her.
So, as those two children are walking away from you, you have this briefest kind of sensation. For a moment, you feel physically much smaller than you are. And as you're leaning against the wall where you're sitting, it feels for a moment like you're no longer inside. It feels like you're no longer indoors. It feels like you're outdoors. You can feel like the barest of cold winds rush against you, reminding you of like sitting underneath like very, very thin awnings outside the orphanage, trying to avoid other people's attention. Um, at that moment, as you're looking as you're like focusing on those two kids, they literally start to resemble two children who like were watching you while you were being attacked, and literally like passed it off as if it was not noteworthy at all. Not like they were having fun, not like they were ignoring you, just like it was a thing that happened. And it felt for a moment like that was the thing that hurt the most. That it was just a thing. And the thing that snaps you out of that moment is the touch of truffle licking your cheek. And it's only when truffle does that you notice that you had just started crying. And then you stop.
I kind of like nudge him away. I'm like, knock it off, stupid cat, and wipe my face on my sleeves.
And Truffle just kind of looked at you very eagerly. He's like, you've had Truffle long enough to know when Truffle gives you a look like something was happening there. But if you don't want to tell me, okay, cool. Goes back to
Eat your chicken.
Ring, where are you at the moment?
So I think we probably get like a short montage of Ring just completely in their element, doing kind of porter coordination and like shouting at porters coming and going from the kitchen and like tasting something and putting some soup in it, like getting something out of the pantry, like navigating around the cooks as they're talking and like chatting back and forth with people and just like showing that they're clearly of this group. Like big holiday parent energy, but not the holiday parent that's actually in charge of doing all the things, because that person tends to not get to move around much because the world is orbiting around them. Instead, Ring is one of the other kind of kind of parental caretaker figures who is moving through and making sure that everything is going where it needs to, and the people are going where they need to, and like we come and go, and like there's a kid sitting on Ring's shoulders at one point before they kind of lift them off and set them on a table. And I'd say like this montage is the best chance that Ring has for Indulge Vice, which is just like make Porter's Day happen. And then I think we can go from that montage into another part of the sequence, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Also, I
Right.
want to add that this is very much, as you say, you are not the mother at the Christmas party. You are the eldest aunt at the Christmas party
Mm.
who, like, you're not supposed to be there and you're not supposed to be giving instructions, but you're here, so you're giving instructions. So let us definitely do Indulge Vice.
All right. So Indulge Vice, I roll the lowest of my stats, which I have 1 or 2. So that's 2 stress back, which is sad.
I am so sorry. Oh, so this is this is again the narrative convenience of Porter's Day is once you are still at rest in this space, you will still be allowed to indulge vice, but it will not be related to Porter's Day again because this montage has been your full engagement with all the preparation for food, drink, and decorations for the actual party.
Mm.
So if you were to indulge vice again, it would have to be after everyone's eaten.
Right. And I could definitely see that as uh, Ring does cleanup or like that kind
Yeah.
of thing. But I think we can get to that later.
I'm so sorry.
I think something along the lines of like Ring was getting stress relief, and then they looked over at Ash and remembered the injury and everything that is waiting after the party is over, and that's probably why it stopped at 2.
Yeah, and I think like the the storm is so heavy that one of the windows gets blown in and there's like a whirl of snow and cold, and the color leaches out of the room as the camera turns, and it's Ring doing their damnedest to make Porter's Day anything but miserable it, in the middle of the war for a squadron that is at half strength, and everyone has just lost people, and that that's the thing that's always with them when they do Porter's Day. So like the fact that Ring leans into Porter's Day so hard is because enough of them have been really bad, and that they've had to do the like parent hen thing for their people as much as they could. And there is no amount of trying hard that Ring can do in this Porter's Day that will make the world fully go away. So like Ring sits in that moment, goes over, closes the door, and then walks over to Ash with probably some like if there is a like if there's a holiday that is temporally close to Porter's Day in Severosi culture, there are probably enough Severosi Akarosi around that part of Porter's Day would include food from everybody who comes, but it's not Severosi culture. It's Severosi dash Akarosi food.
Mm-hmm.
So it may not be quite the same, but it's like the best that Ring can do for comfort.
Mm-hmm. Severosi diaspora food.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is so I would say there are no Severosi holidays like close to Porter's Day, but as a result of diaspora hybridization, a lot of Severosi food is included in Porter's Day as well. Because of like the just the general kind of community nature of we're all trying to make sure that we all can last the winter, so that also includes making sure that our neighbors have things to eat. So there is indeed a lot of Severosi diaspora food that has been included, because there are like a handful of um, Severosi Akarosi kids among the porters who are like tried to make a thing because it they thought that it would remind them of a thing that they didn't wholly have the childhood experience of, or so they could like withstand the teasing of being a diaspora kid. They wanted to learn a thing that reminded that would be from home. So there are a handful of stuff that is around already. um
I have to ask, how are those children reacting to, Crossroads?
Crossroads, give me a to die 14 roll.
Oh, sweet
God,
mother of
please don't
mercy.
electrocute any children.
Oh no, oh no, 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 no. This is literally going to decide the moment that we're going to close on for this
Oh
session.
god.
Ah,
That's a 6
yes.
and a 2 for Porter's Day Crossroads fortune roll.
Nice. Crossroads. You have this moment like while everybody's doing what they're doing, you are like looking at Ash just still lying in this cot very idly, like awake, conscious, talking to you, but obviously still in a lot of pain, obviously still trying to rest. Um, you just like looking, just staring out for a moment, and um, slowly you just start to like accumulate some like memories start pooling in your brain a little bit. Like
Oh.
you kind of you flash back to the fight that you had with Runa, and like you flash back to um the things that she said. You don't flash back to like the moment when she knocks you out cold with a relic. You just like dwell on the things that she said. You dwell on what it felt like when she turned her back on you during that fight. You flash back to that strange plateau that you found yourself in that was just covered in clear white smoke. Um, you flash back to the sound and the smell of the first time that you injured a blue coat. Like the sound of that inspector shouting after you as you ran. Um, you flash back to the experience of being in your secondary hull form and like this weird kind of really fascinating, really soothing sensation of not so much flying like an actual bird might, but gliding through the air and like rushing at such a high speed that you can see snowflakes falling into the sky as you rush past them, as they literally break in half over your beak as you fly past them. And like the feeling of that wind and that cold rushing against you. Um, you flash back to like the sight of Ash's bleeding body in your arms. You flash back to the you flash back very strangely to a time that you vaguely remember of standing for a photograph, and Runa is standing to your right, but you can't remember you can't remember having take this photograph. You can't remember where you can't remember why you are in the place where you are. You can't remember why you need to take a photo in the first place. And Runa looks at you and is smiling, and like you don't hear what Runa is telling you, but you can tell that Runa is teasing you because you don't smile whenever they take photographs, and she wants you to smile. Um, you flash back to the first time that you looked at that photograph. You are not smiling in that photograph. And then very briefly, you kind of like you very softly, you kind of snap out of it, and you're just looking at Ash. And Ash is looking back at you and like with eyes that kind of like asking what's wrong, but neither of you want to say anything at this moment. While that is happening, six children have started like skipping around your very still standing frame with navy blue and white kite paper ribbons
Oh no.
and are literally using you as a maypole.
Oh.
And that's where we're going to end tonight's session of the case of the Cindered Seal. You all haven't eaten yet, so we still have a lot more of Porter's Day to go. But you've also learned a lot of very valuable information regarding who decided to go after Ash, and potentially even more information that has yet to be unraveled. How do you all feel about the session?
It was very good.
I definitely want to
Poor
check in.
Melvier.
Oh, yeah.
Poor Malvir, yeah.
I mean, Melville just trying to do the best that he could do and make sure that everybody doesn't die, and everybody keeps dying in front of him. Like, come on, I understand how Melville feels. I definitely want to check in with Skelly. I feel like this is the first that we've dealt with a lot of your orphanage feelings in quite some time. Um, I apologize in advance. We may have a bit more of that to go. Um, how do you feel?
And I just think it's funny, Melvier is over here like, I'm normally handling fevers and cuts, and now I'm dealing with wounds, giant gaping crossbow wounds. Why?
Yeah.
I like how this overlaps, but not entirely, with the actual world of Blades in the Dark. That like some of the characters are basically scoundrels in skill, but not in like the culture.
Mm-hmm.
And so like when that intersection magnifies or is in the foreground, it's an interesting contrast with a lot of the non-scoundrelly stuff that the game has had.
Yeah. And I'm really glad to have given you all a moment that is several months in the making of like just being able to relax, just being able to like witness like experience culture that you get to like qualify on your own terms, which I think is really neat. So yeah, I look forward to you all eating and drinking and having an opportunity to just talk amongst each other. Um, and that will be our next session, which will be coming next month. So until then, I would like you all to please let the good folks in chat know who you are and what you do and where folks can find more of your work. Starting with Mike.
Hey everybody, I'm Michael R. Underwood. I'm one of the co-hosts on Speculate. I've been playing Rain Dalmore, who is the haunted veteran teen parent. I want to say thank you to everybody for watching and joining us. If you were here with a live stream and kind of riding with us through some technical difficulties that hopefully we'll be able to sort out in the future. If you are listening later on, thank you so much for catching the show via on demand or on the podcast. I want to shout out our audio producer, Rudy Basso, for all the great work he does on the podcast episodes, and invite people to check out Splendor and Shadow, which is the other show that Speculate does. I'm the GM for that one. And we have Brandon and Greg as players, along with Alex Axe and Don One Song. That's a video-only show, so you can catch it on the Speculate feed on Patreon at patreon.com/speculate, or on YouTube at youtube.com/Arvin Elleron. You can find me at michaelrunderwood.com. Thanks.
Nice. Next, Jeoi.
Hello, hello, and very soon goodbye. It is Jeoi Gawain Lin, pronouns he, they. I am a game and fiction writer who played, in this session, Crossroads, a Hull and ex-whisperer who has many social anxiety problems, You can find me, the person who is made of meat, on Twitter at This Is My Design. Design is capital DASEIN. It is a pun, Hannibal pun, philosophy pun, good stuff. And hopefully I shall see you all, or yes, see you on the next session.
Next, Iori.
Iori Kusano, she, they, Clarion West class of 2017. I appeared today and always as Ash, our Severosi Lurk. You can find me on Twitter at Iori Kusano. There are no L's in my name. And if you follow us over to Skiffy and Fanty, Brandon and I are bringing back Righteous Kicks, our Kamen Rider podcast, this month, next month, definitely soon, because it is the 50-year anniversary of Kamen Rider, and so many exciting things are happening.
Indeed. I can't wait for that to happen. And last but not least, Valerie.
I am Valerie Valdes. This is my cat Wash, who likes to be on my lap sometimes when I'm doing things on Zoom and other places. I'm the author of Chilling Effects, Prime Deceptions, and the forthcoming Fault Tolerance, a trilogy of found family space opera with lots of pop culture and video game references. Many shenanigans are shenaniganed in them. And Wash knows that you love him. You can find me on Twitter at Valerie Valdes and online at valerievaldes.com. And that's with an S if you are listening and not watching with my name on the screen.
As for me, I have been your GM, Brandon O'Brien, pronouns he, him, or they, them. Um, I am 1/3 of Speculate, which is responsible not only for this Blades in the Dark game, The Case of the Cindered Seal, but as previously mentioned, our Rebel Crown game, Splendor and Shadow, in which I am a player and not a GM, and all of that responsibility is handed over to Mike. Um, um, I am a poet and writer from Trinidad and Tobago. My debut poetry collection is coming out soon. It is called Can You Sign My Tentacle? And I'm really excited to see you all enjoy poetry about the gods of the Cthulhu mythos, asking various black entertainers for their autographs. Um, as previously mentioned, I am now the co-host of the Skiffy and Fanty Show, which means, among other things, that there will be a return to my regular Kamen Rider podcast, Righteous Kicks, that will be coming very soon, and I'm very eager to tell you all of my Kamen Rider feelings. I also have an update for everyone on this channel who has been eagerly awaiting the saga of Arvan Eleron's gift to me. As previously mentioned in one of our last sessions, Greg decided to buy me a computer so we could stop having the technical difficulties that apparently we've been plagued with for so long. And I'm pleased to report that it has not only arrived in the PO box address that I provided for Arv, but it is presently in transit to my location in Trinidad. It will be here very soon. By the time we have our next session of the Case of the Cindered Seal, um, there will be no technical issues to speak of. In fact, I anticipate that it should be here as soon as our upcoming session of Sound Clash the Clampdown, which is in 2 weeks. So definitely check. If you're new to this stream, I definitely want you to um, come and check out that stream, which will be 2 Sundays from now. Would be the 25th. So please come and join us for that as well. That's me as stage manager in a Blaze in the Dark hack about music, magic, and sticking it to the industry. A game of my own design with an all BIPOC cast. Please, 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 if you've never stuck around for an episode of Sound Clash the Clampdown, I definitely want you all to enjoy that session because we're finally getting into the actual clash and it's going to be really rad. But until then, I am going to bid all of my friends adieu for the moment. So please, everyone, give all of these lovely people all of your love as I disappear very briefly and check in just with you all by doing the thing over here. Hello. So thank you again for joining us for today's session. This was really cool. I'm really, really glad that we got to um, actually have Porter's Day. Porter's Day has been in the making since December. I actually kind of feel very bad that we had to wait until mid-April to actually do Christmas things. But I'm really glad that we actually get to do what is essentially an extended downtime, give people some moments to have like less violent interactions with the world and start actually interacting with culture, interacting with themselves, maybe interact with some feelings. So yes, I'm very glad that we finally got to this point. Um, Thank you very much for joining us for this session. Thank you so very much for um, being regular viewers of this channel in particular. I know that Greg appreciates your support and your patronage, and so do I, definitely. There will be Crossroads in full HD 120 FPS. We will all be witnesses. Yes, I'm very excited to not only have like this stream happen without any flaws, but I'm definitely excited to like not have to like worry about things that are happening, so I can just focus on having all these wonderful people in shenanigans, and possibly even increasing the kind of shenanigans that I can get up to now that I don't have to worry about tech anymore would be really really rad. Definitely, I would like to shout out our for giving me this opportunity to be on this channel. Thank you so very much for letting me take advantage of your free Sundays essentially, and like doing more cool RPG stuff on this channel. I look forward to not only increasing the quality of those streams, but hopefully doing even more things when this new PC comes. So I'm very excited about that. Um, Shout out to our moderators, Hillness and Triffity Mats. Thank you so very much for being present and making sure that the chat is as wonderful an example of this community as the community itself is. Thank you so very much for that. And to our viewers, Bobby8706, Crit Twitch, Dipperdog15, Draconalu, Falcon Wolf, Glitch Lucas, Kusano Iori, Live Swing, Mapricot, Mom's Trash Bin, Mrs. Dunsell, Prince Justin, Red Lear, Root Fake, Saint Pomelo, Sidekick Sid, Streamers Area, which may or may not be a bot, Stidley and Sticks, Tontoms, The Kids Are Asleep, Turbo Tango, VNK, Ver499, and Von Meat. Thank you very much in particular to the